Alikuwa ametoa alikuwa ameelekeza kwamba Junet na kina Joe wachunguza kwa ile video ya naibu wa rais. Sijui ni hali ya kuonea majibu.
Unajua sasa, now that is where we part ways, because you know security matters. You cannot subject them to propaganda, you know, and gossip and all those kinds of things. First of all, as a rule of thumb, I tell you, my brothers and sisters, you know this for a fact. You also want a responsible minister of interior in your country. When investigations are going on, as a rule of thumb, and our DCI is here, we have agreed in the security sector. We don't run sideline commentaries when investigations are going on, because then we interfere with the work of the officers who are, doing the investigations. The matter of the rivulets, some investigations are going on. We've already taken some people to court, and we are continuing to look for more information so that we get to the very bottom of the matter. But the process of punishment has begun. We will present the information we have, and our officers will present the information they have, and then the courts will decide who is right and who is wrong. And I don't want to comment more about that. On the matter of the Venezuelans, you know, these are two institutions, two independent institutions. You forget one thing. The Office of the Inspector General of Police under the law is an independent office. And the IEBC is an independent institution. The two institutions come together and look at an issue like the one of the consultants or people who have been hired to do the work they are doing. In their wisdom, they take a decision, and all the issues involved have been explained and sorted out. And they agree that we have now explained all the gray areas on this matter. We are on the same page. Let us move forward. And they decide responsibly, I believe as responsible people, that let us not engage in press commentaries that are going to affect the conduct of the general elections. Why would we want to go back to them again and tell them, okay, so what happened? How many cups of tea did you take during that meeting? Who said what, and so on? Let's trust our Inspector General Police. Let's trust Mr. Jebukati, the chairman of the IEBC, on the decision they took on that matter. I am satisfied myself when I was briefed by the decisions of the Inspector General of Police, and we are fine. And then he has briefed us on the conversations he had with the IEBC on the matter. We are satisfied completely with how they resolved the matter, and we believe that is the responsible way of managing these affairs. Let us proceed now to another matter. On the issue of the house of the DPP, again, it applies to what I told you earlier. I don't want to make sideline comments now when a matter as sensitive as that has happened. Now, you already have jumped to conclusions before investigations are done. Now, my brother, if we go that way, we will hurt ourselves. Let us always be focused. When something has happened, we have competent officers, we have competent teams. They come up, they investigate the matter, wanachunguza, wanatafuta ukweli mahali huko. Kama kuna ushahidi wa kutosha, mambo fulani yamefanyika, wahusika wanapatikana, alafu wanapelekwa kotini. Tunataka kufuata sheria na tunataka kuishi kisheria vile tunatakiwa kuishi. Sawa?
One last question perhaps.
Oh.
You're on record telling the chiefs that they must follow the direction that the president has given. And you've also been publicly campaigning for doing that. Don't you think, as a high-ranking official, don't you think this amounts to pressuring officials to pick a side?
No, I will explain. And those are two different issues. And thank you for asking me the question. Number one, and I repeat it again, in a society of our kind, and all societies around the world, leadership is organized in the manner in which our leadership is organized. Can you imagine a case where the president says one thing and the minister says another and the inspector general says another? We don't want chaos in our society. In the security sector, when it comes to policy and implementation of government policy, we queue behind the president. That's what I've told chiefs. If the president says 100% transition from primary to secondary, and I want every child in school, how can you not do it in your location when you are a chief and the president has said that? If the president has committed himself, even at the UN, on goals that we must meet on this FGM thing, how can you tell me as a chief that you're not going to go around the villages to fight FGM, because that is what the president has said and that is what national government has committed itself to? So this is what we must do, and I will repeat it again. Now and any time in my life, even when I am not Minister for Interior, I would wish that the next Minister of Interior also lives that way. Organizes the national government infrastructure to queue behind the president and national policy. That is how we manage the country. Because imagine a case where the president says, we are going to work with the Minister of Education to fight examination cheating. Then tomorrow the chiefs say, no, us, we are not going to do that kind of thing. What kind of country are you going to have? So that is what I meant when I tell chiefs, and I tell them even to this day, on national policy, and when the president takes a decision on the matter and the president spells out a position, I am the first to queue behind my president, and I'm followed by my colleagues. That is how it is going to be, and that is how it should be, for us to have an orderly environment. On the question of elections and campaigns, let's stop pretending about one thing. Even the judges of the High Court, the judges of the Court of Appeal, and the judges of the Supreme Court will vote. But the matters on which they are voting, some of them may come before them. There is a clear line between my inclination and my responsibility, my obligation and my inclination. All of us here, the way we are seated here, even my colleagues here, I don't know, some of them are Muslims, they go to the mosque on Friday, others are Catholics, they go to church on Sunday, others are Anglicans, they go to church on Sunday, others like me are Seventh-day Adventists, they go to church on Saturday. But when we come to work, we have our obligations. I will not wear the lenses of my religious inclination. I will not wear the lenses of my faith. I will, if you come before me, I will not ask you where you belong to and where you come from. I am not supposed to do that under the law. I have an obligation. I have a legal obligation. So there must be a line drawn between legal obligations and personal inclinations. To pretend here that people do not have any, even our officers, police officers will vote. They have inclinations. They may have preferences. But they know that when they wake up in the morning and they are wearing kofia, kiraoni, na wanabeba bunduki, they are going to work, they are going there to serve every Kenyan. And they will not ask every Kenyan, where did you vote? No, no, no. That's you're not allowed to do. So let us agree on this particular matter. There is a very clear line between obligations and inclinations. And there's nothing wrong with people having, inclinations. That's why we are a democracy. That people have opinions, they have preferences, and no one forces anyone to. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to I don't have to agree with you. But I can express myself and say, as far as I'm concerned, I think this is the way we should go. That's my opinion. Even in the offices where we work, we have different opinions sometimes on issues. But we don't sack people because they have expressed differences of opinion, because we understand the line between obligations and inclinations. And this is what people oftentimes confuse and so on. The Constitution says the President will appoint cabinet ministers who are technocrats. It doesn't say the President will appoint robots, switch on and switch off robots to the cabinet. In any case, by the way, some of the politicians who are hypocritically parroting that around the country are the same ones who keep saying perhaps we should have ministers who are elected members of parliament who sit in parliament. So what is what? Because these contradictions sometimes are interesting. Let's be very plain and very clear. I will not lie to you. I have inclinations and I have preferences. But I'll also be very sincere with you. I will deliver on my constitutional obligations without fear or favor. And when it comes to that, I will remove my inclinations and serve every Kenyan as I'm supposed to serve. And I've done that before. And everyone else who's serious has done that before. But let's stop these excuses, saying, oh, you have expressed preferences and so on. We express preferences all the time. That's why you are dressed in jeans and I'm dressed in suits. That's a different way of looking at things. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.